I'll restrict my talk on instability that is seen earlier on, post-operatively, rather than due to other factors like loosening and fractures and sepsis. So the incidence which was reported earlier was almost 2.25 by Mori in 1992, but recently the dislocation rate has been going down, and that's because of the technique and the various implants that we have. About the timing, half of the dislocations occur in the first 3 months post-operatively, and that we all have experienced, and 3/4 occur in the first year. So before you start thinking about treatment, you have to also know what are the causes. So there is a study which said that hip surgeons who are doing less than 35 hips a year and who are taking more time, that is the operating time, have more chances of dislocations. We all know now the spinopelvic relation to our hip replacement, and that's been said a lot in the previous lecture, so I would not say much about it, but screening of lumbosacral spine in all your primary hips should be done today, and it has been seen that patients who have stiff hips or ankylosing hips, they have higher dislocations. The surgical approach again is very controversial, though it's been nowadays said that DA may have less dislocation, but it's not proven yet. Most of the studies have not found any difference between the DA and the posterior approach, and that's again probably because in the posterior approach we have been able to understand where to put our cup better nowadays, and also to do a posterior closure. So the dislocation has been reduced to almost 0.6% in posterior approaches. And that's the registry data of almost, I think, 12 years from Netherlands, that anterior approach might have lesser dislocation rates, whereas posterior approach has higher dislocation and lower risk of any other revision. So other causes of instability after THR are acetabular and femoral components that we put in. Traditionally, we say that the safe zone is the 40 to 45 degrees of inclination and about 15 to 20 degrees of anteversion. Now that's absolutely not correct, totally not correct, and the emphasis is on whenever you put your hip, you should always check for impingement, and many patients who have had cups put in this safe zone have had dislocations. Liner, changing the liner to 15 degrees posterior lip has also improved the chances of dislocation or lessened the chances of dislocation. We also know about the femoral offset and combined anteversion, which I'm going to talk about, and the head size and the diameter of the cup. So femoral head size 36 has been shown in various registries to have lesser chances of dislocation. But the key principle one must remember that you have to restore the hip center, the rotation of the hip center, you have to have proper offset, and you have to have a good leg length. I'll give you this example. This is a patient who has had a fracture of the acetabulum, operated twice, failed, and this is what was done initially. So here you can see everything has gone wrong. The hip rotation has not been restored, the leg length has not been restored, and also the femoral offset has partially not been restored. And sure enough, 4 months later, this patient had dislocation. This was reduced and sent back. And then 4 years later, he had this, everything giving way. So this was obviously revised, and a correct hip rotation was achieved. You had to use augments, and he did. The offset has been restored, the leg lengths have been restored. So this is very important when you do primary hip replacement in order to prevent instability. So how do you clinically approach this unstable patient? It's very disheartening to see this patient when they dislocate 2 or 3 weeks later when everything has gone on well. So you have to do clinical examination, rule out any infection, that's the most important thing. You have to see the leg length, range of motion, strength, neurological examination, which you may have missed earlier. Investigation involves the routine things, including checking the offset, leg length, CT scan for inclination, and also for osteolysis if present. So what do you do when the hip dislocates in early post-operative period? The most common thing is you reduce it, and generally it's seen that if you do from a posterior approach, which we all, most of us do, the anterior dislocation, conservative results, gives good results, whereas the posterior dislocation, they are more likely to occur. So if the components are well positioned, you generally reduce it under anesthesia. No further dislocation happens in about 65 to 70% cases. Close reduction under GA suffices, but don't do it under sedation where you are struggling. Safe range of motion should always be checked, and that's about 90 degrees and 15 degrees internal and external rotation. Brace is controversial, but some people use brace up to 3 to 6 weeks post-operatively. Operative treatment is done when malposition, when the implants are malpositioned, there is recurrent instability, when there is chronic dislocation, inadequate soft tissue tension, you may have to go for the operative treatment. Whenever you do operative treatment for well-positioned components, check for the impingement. That's the most important thing. Check for the soft tissue tension, femoral offset, and also the, and it's been said that femoral offset, if it's less than 1 centimeter, it's quite significant. So you may have, in a modular hip today, we can change the neck length, we can change the size of the head, and we can also change the liner, and possibly a dual mobility cup. In malposition components like this, cup has to be changed. There is no role of just changing the liner or changing the modularity. Revision surgery in such cases, when you do well, it is got a good success rate of almost 90%. Just changing the polyethylene is not recommended. Another case I'll show you of a bad femoral version, 84 years old, trochanteric fracture, somebody did this. Now this is almost put in something like 40 to 50 degrees of anteversion. Sure enough, it dislocated post-operatively, and this was revised by cement in cement with a more revision type of offset, so more offset, femoral offset. These are the other things which you may have to do, but it has been said that success is more in when you do a change of modularity rather than more extensive procedures. A point about graded trochanter, a lot of cases we do where the trochanteric fracture has failed, the graded trochanter is off, non-unions, and this was one case where we decided to do a total hip replacement. Here trochanter was not addressed. One should always address the trochanter. They should either be wired or plated, and this sure enough dislocated. Another thing here, probably a DMC should have been used in order to prevent dislocation, but then the proper technique like trochanteric fixation should always be done along with whatever you're doing. This was, however, this got reduced and never dislocated, but if it had to, then you may have to do a revision procedure. Again, another case where a trochanteric, almost 2-3 more slides, trochanteric fixation was not done because it was thought that it was quite stable. It dislocated, and a trochanteric, thereafter, trochanteric stabilization had to be done. So DMC are having, dual mobility cup in hip arthroplasty is gaining a lot of interest, but then as has been pointed out, it has to be still taken with some, care and caution, not to be done in very young people, it is most helpful in revision cases and where you think that a patient may have some neurological problem or some high risk for dislocations. So in conclusion, prevention obviously is the best strategy. Patient and surgical factors should be considered, and proper patient education, that's very important. Otherwise, we may have legal implications, as has been said. So first episode is always manipulation. Recurrent instability means surgical treatment, and clear understanding of the underlying cause should be determined before you take surgical treatment. Well-positioned cups, you can change the offset, large femoral heads, lengthening procedures, modify polyliner, which has success in many cases as long as the components are positioned. When the components are malpositioned, the only option is revise the components. Hemiarthroplasty can be done in very older patients who are low demand, and dual mobility cup should be considered. Thank you very much.